Da, 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 da. Hey, hey. I'm playing in my head, thinking of ideas for you know how like on the news, bah, 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 or some type of I don't know, some type of sound theme song, news theme, just to make it more official for breaking news and that sort of thing. How are you? I'm Jeremy. Thank you for tuning in for the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update for this day, Wednesday, October 4th, 2023. I, as we speak, have a major sewer repair going on. Yeah, it's fun. There's nothing more fun than spending $6,000 to have your sewer fixed. Well, if you hear heavy machinery and four-letter words, it's all coming from back there. So, I want to say the Eagles, but it's actually not the Eagles. It's Eagles, the band we all know and love. It's not the Eagles. It's Eagles. All of their albums say Eagles. It never says the. Just thought I'd throw that out. But it's hard to not say the Eagles. So I will continue to say the Eagles. By the way, the older you get, the more you get away with stuff like that. And by the way, again, I just used my first senior discount. Can you believe that? And here's the thing, I could have been doing it for a year because I'm 56. A lot of places it starts at 55. You think I'm not going to use? Absolutely, I'll use my senior discount. It was awesome. The Eagles have extended their long goodbye farewell tour by adding 2 concerts at Los Angeles's. It used to just be the Los Angeles Forum. Now it's Los Angeles's Kia Forum. So they're adding dates on the 5th and 6th. Their long goodbye tour started last month at New York's Madison Square Garden. You know, the tour, these old guy tours, they're only like 2 or 3 months long. But when you charge people, $300 a pop for tickets, you don't have to play as many shows. Have I told you about my love-hate relationship with the Eagles? I love the Eagles. I think Don Henley's super talented, but I don't know if you're even allowed to talk about the Eagles without getting sued. I know on YouTube, if you play a clip, if you even mention the Eagles, or if you do a guitar lesson on an Eagles song or whatever, there will be police officers at your door, and Don Henley will sue you. So anyways, the Eagles are on tour. It's this, I'm feeling kind of salty today. I think it's the sewer, right? I'm just not happy about the whole sewer situation. But the Eagles are touring, since Glenn Frey died, they're touring with, they got Henley, who's original. Of course, Joe Walsh is considered, he's almost like original. He came on board in 1970 for Hotel California, right? So you got him. Timothy B. Schmidt came on in for the long run in 79. So, so you got some Eagles in there. But Don Felder has been, kicked out. And, Vince Gill, who I love Vince Gill. And I'm not just going to say one of the great country guitar players. I'm going to say one of the great guitar players and singers. Multi-talented guy. He's been touring with him. And then, of course, Deacon Frey, the son of the late Glenn Frey, has been touring with them as well. And they sound great, right? You go see the show, it would be great. And if you got, $300,000, $500,000 to drop down to see the Eagles, great. They've added 2 dates, so you can do that. Joe Perry of Aerosmith, in a recent interview, was talking about when he left the band in 1979. One of the things that kind of scared him, I don't want to say this made him leave the band, but one of the things he was factoring into the equation was he heard the first Van Halen album and it kind of scared him, right? He in his words, he said, we were rolling into the 80s and I still remember hearing the first Van Halen record and effing loving it. I mean, what a great effing record. Okay. He says, Eddie's guitar playing was just so incredible. He turned guitar on its effing ear. and was doing stuff that I'd never heard before. I knew it was time for a break because new ideas were needed, but we also needed to readjust our sights and learn to get along again. I remember saying we're not ready for the 80s. I don't know why I said that. It was just a vibe or a feeling I had. And of course, they were using more drugs than Dow Chemical, right, at the time. So they had to get cleaned up, and took several tries for many of them. And anyways, it wasn't until 84 that Joe Perry came back. But during that time, he did a couple Joe Perry project albums, which are pretty good. You might want to check those out. But it was the Van Halen, first Van Halen album really kind of shook him and lots of other people up. They knew, okay, there's a new game in town. Now we're going to have to up our game. Frontiers Music. I've talked about Frontiers a lot. Frontiers, based out of Spain, I think. And they mass produce a lot of great melodic rock. And I say great because it is great. The product is great. Sounds great. They got a lot of these bands, new bands that they release that are kind of in the classic rock vein. But the problem with Frontiers is they don't really promote it. You know, they'll call up 4 artists and say, hey, why don't you guys get together and put together an album? So they'll do that, right? They make some money, probably not a whole lot of money. Revolution Saints. I've talked about Revolution Saints. Tokyo Motor Fist. Okay. These are bands where they just take an existing classic rock guys, put them together, put out an album, and then nothing ever happens, right? Some people will stream the album, some people buy the album, but there's no tour, there's no support, whatever. But another thing the good thing is they're putting out good classic rock flavored music, which is awesome. And another good thing they're doing is a lot of these legacy bands, they're signing them and allowing I know Asia did some stuff on Frontiers. Blue Oyster Cult is on Frontiers. Their last album, The Symbol Remains, which is really a very good album from a couple years back, is on Frontiers. And now Frontiers will release Blue Oyster Cult's 50th anniversary live first night. So this is a live album. This will come out on December 8th, 2023. The first single and video from the album, I'm on the Lamb, But I Ain't No Sheep, live, are out today. So you can check that out. Blue Oyster Cult is a quirky little band. I love them. I understand why they never got mass mainstream appeal, because they're quirky, but very, very smart, very Secret Treaties, phenomenal album. Check that out. Agents of Fortune, great album. They got a lot of great albums. They have never stopped touring. So, you know, they're one of these bands kind of like Cheap Trick, but even less mainstream than Cheap Trick, but have a very loyal following, still put on a great show. But be on the lookout for this Blue Oyster Cult 50th anniversary live first night. Comes out December 8th, 2023. I'm sure we'll talk about it when it does come out. In the meantime, listen to Blue Oyster Cult early and often, as much as you can. A lot of great stuff. Zach Sabbath. You ever seen any Zach Sabbath on YouTube? Zach Sabbath, of course, features Zach Wild. It's a Black Sabbath tribute band. It's Zach Wild. It's Robert Nicholson, who's played for Ozzy Osbourne, Rob Zombie. Drummer Joey Castillo, who's played for Danzig, Queen of the Stone Age. They are embarking on their Tour Forever tour. That will start in December. And their first show is on December 5th in Sacramento, and will end on January 20th. Again, another short tour. January 20th in Los Angeles. And you got to see Zach Sabbath. Okay, so Zach, obviously a great guitar player, but he's also a really good singer. He doesn't get any credit for his singing, but I think he does a great job. And he's singing these Sabbath tunes. The guitar work is very true to what Tony did. And it's cool. So check out, I know you can find videos of Zach Sabbath playing War Pigs and, you know, the Sabbath classics. But if you get a chance to see him live, I'd absolutely jump on that. Zach Sabbath, not to be confused with Mac Sabbath, which is the Sabbath tribute band that dresses like McDonald's characters, and all the songs are about McDonald's food. If you ever chance ever have a chance to see Max Sabbath, you got to check them out too. They're great. So there's our news for today. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all your support of the podcast and our channel here on Twitter, now X. And keep in mind that you can be a sponsor for $1 a month and help us in our plans to dominate the world. Bruce K chiming in a live chat. He says, I saw Joe Perry and Brad Whitford at an Eric Johnson concert back in the 90s. That's awesome. Did he play with them or were they just in the crowd? I'd love to hear more. Bruce K, thanks for chiming in via the chat. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow for our next Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. Take care. Bye-bye.